when to share and when not to.
Aha.
And I'm sure people who know me are going to go, oh, no, Deborah doesn't even know the when not to. She just opens her mouth. I'm
She
sure
just
the people
says,
who,
when to share.
when share, just open, just share. Hey, what can happen?
I just thought of this idea, so I'm going to share.
I'm just going to let you know what I think. So, Moira, what would be tip number 1 of when to share and when not to?
You kind of alluded to the tip. Tip number 1 is awareness. So awareness is all about, it's not about, Deb, you and I have talked a wee bit about this before, is that I was brought up to always tell the truth.
Same.
And you were too. So, but you see, here's the thing. And I remember getting in trouble as a kid.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Hi.
Hello.
This is our deliciously motivated mindset conversation with Debz and Moira. Welcome, Moira.
Thank you, my dear.
And welcome, listeners.
Welcome, listeners.
Here we are. Oh, today is a great one.
It's an awesome one. Auspicious. Amazing.
If you knew what we were talking about before we got on this call, this is exactly what we were
talking about.
Yeah, perfect. And that's an example I just didn't share right then. What are we talking about? Wait, not that. So welcome, thank you for joining us. If you've been here before, you'll know a little bit of the routine, and it's a pretty simple routine. And the routine goes like this. You grab a pen and paper. You get yourself present and you listen. If you don't have pen and paper, then that's okay. And listen in the car, that's super cool. If you're going for a run, anything like that, that's great. But if you're going to try and remember these points that we're going to give you, good luck to you.
You will want to write things down.
Yeah, that's the one. And then we start ourselves off with a rating system, and we rate ourselves at the start, we rate ourselves at the middle, and we rate ourselves at the end. And so this rating is just to check in with your PEMS, as Moira's educated me on, which is your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, which is your PEMS. And they're your 4 pillars. So you're just going to check in where you are, with a 0 being a beautiful, neutral, heartfelt space.
Zen space.
Yeah. And then there's a 10, which is between the 9 and 11, for those who think I have an accent. That 10 is frazzled, chaos, just stuck.
Crazy.
Wellington gumboots, beyond mud, in the mud, beyond, into your thighs, and your gumboots are only ankle depth. That's a 10.
Yep.
So we rate ourselves now. Moira and I both rate ourselves, and then at halftime you rate yourself again, and then at the end, and definitely the intention is to not keep you in the 10 or beyond the 10, but actually to move you to that, closer to that 0, if not that 0, and just make you aware of what's going on around you, what can throw you right back to that 10, and what's not.
It's about awareness.
And what doesn't.
But really just being aware of what's going on.
And the topic today is definitely being aware, is absolutely 100% that. Because the topic, so there might be things that you might listen to us and go, that's a great one. Yeah, actually, I feel in myself, oh, I'm a 2. And then suddenly we might say something and you go, oh, I've got to work on that. Oh, I don't want to do that. That's really hard. Oh, that's taken me to a 4. So just be aware of your emotion, and with these 4 pillars of the PEMS, PEMS, it's just, showing your awareness. That's all. There's no right or wrong. It doesn't matter where you're at. And if you're a 10 and you end up in a 10, that's okay still. But I will say, definitely next time, get your pen and paper and reach out to us. But in saying that, Moira, what number are you?
I'm a 2.
Copycat.
Oh.
Surprise. We are often similar.
Yes, we are.
And I would have said prior to that, I probably would have been a 3. Actually, no, I would have been a 4. I would have been a 4 before we jumped on this call. We're in the middle of a cyclone. We still have internet.
Yeah.
So I probably would have been a 4. Yeah. Definitely not a 10. Definitely not a 10 this time, but probably a few weeks ago, I think I was at a 10. So don't think. So we're both 2s. So where are you at? Jot that down, grab your pen and paper, and let's kick off our deliciously motivated mindset conversation podcast with Debz and Moira. And our topic today is, I just giggle, when to share and when not to. And I'm sure people who know me are going to go, oh, no, Deborah doesn't even know the when not to. She just opens her mouth. I'm sure the people who...
when to share.
When to share, just open, just share. Hey, what can happen?
I just thought of this idea, so I'm going to share.
I'm just going to let you know what I think. So, Moira, what would be tip number 1 of when to share and when not to?
You kind of alluded to the tip. Tip number 1 is awareness. So awareness is all about, it's not about, Deb, you and I have talked a wee bit about this before, is that I was brought up to always tell the truth.
Same.
And you were too. So, but you see, here's the thing. And I remember getting in trouble as a kid where,
no.
Yeah, it happened. It happened. So my dad would speak about people and call them funny names when I was a kid. And I just thought that was okay, And so I remember Dad calling somebody, can't even remember what this guy's name really was, but Dad would call him Brunch, Ken Brunch. And so when he came over for lunch or something one day, I told him, I said, oh, hey, my dad calls you Ken Brunch. And that was truly a time of when not to share, obviously. But I remember being so confused.
Kids, we'll just say kids.
I know, kids.
Yeah.
And totally done innocently. But that's why I'm saying tip number 1 is aware. To be aware that just because your dad says it, you need to have an awareness or maybe an
So is that read the room?
You need to, read the room.
Someone
but
said
also
to me recently,
a bit of an education. But a bit of an education of that's dad being a bit derogatory, and so you don't necessarily repeat that outside of the home kind of thing, right?
I think, and that actually really entangles such a big thing because awareness and read the room, because children just speak. They think
just say it.
If mum's saying it, I can say it. I didn't know you're not supposed to do that because mum says it.
That's right.
And so I know for me as a parent, I would say to my daughter, I'd say to Sophie, now this is an at-home conversation,
right?
And she
would know about the education piece for kids. You do need to educate,
but you also have to add a little bit on that. It's an at-home conversation when no one else is around. So when I say it's an at-home conversation, it's actually just you and I, not when
it's just us.
Yeah, it's not just an at-home conversation when you've got a party of 50 people and you have those conversations, but it's definitely that at-home, closer to me, that at-home conversation. But it is. And children, I think, you're right, education, children just go, well, mum said it, so I can't. Dad said it.
So it's obviously okay to say
and
it.
We all laugh at it, but I love that. Awareness. Well, my tip I'm going to give on the tail end of that is you can't take it back.
Through that.
and once you've said that, you can't take it back. And there's so many tips I can think about this, but you can't take it back. It's said. So you either, how you deal with it is really the way forward. But knowing that how you deal with it today with your father could be different to how you deal with it yesterday with Mr. Brunch. Or actually, is that inappropriate? Just call him Mr. Brunch, or just pretend that's actually his name. But that also all depends of your PEMS as well, of how you handle the situation. So you can't take it back. You just have to accept what's been said and how you handle it. Now, we're clearly going to give you some tips on how to handle it. But the truth is, you just can't take it back. Once it's out, it's out. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's just bring it out now instead of trying to shy it, because when you're trying to suppress it, hoping to heck they haven't heard it, no one else has heard that, it didn't get recorded, it's not on camera, it's not, all those things, it's done. I know when I do my live videos, and Moira, I don't know if you're actually, no, you probably won't be doing this. So for me, if I do a live video, no problem, I can do it. But if you say to me, can you give me these 5 tips on this, which is the same out of my live video, but can you record it? Well, I had to do that recently. Someone said, can you give me a pre-recording? I was like, yep, no problems. And it took me so long. I was like, oh no, listen to my voice. I stopped, restarted. Oh, listen to the way I'm sitting. Oh, no, don't like that. Oh, look at the way I gave that tip. No, I don't want to say that tip. And it took me, it was nearly 2 hours to film a 10-minute video, whereas I can get on a Facebook Live or a live video and just talk.
Yeah.
So
it's really funny, because for me, and I actually did it on a video I was doing this morning, I can say mispronunciations or do something that I would, if I was creating a recording, I would actually go back and say, no, I'm clipping that out, or I'm going to redo that word, or
isn't that so apart from a live video, you can't take it back, but you can't take it back. What if you say it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Like I did. So be aware if you can't take it back, unless you're pre-recording, clearly. But once it's out, it's done. That's it.
But leading on from that, I would say, can you lighten up the vibe? Because I'm thinking of times where maybe I've said something about
I love the way really I've said something.
Maybe I've said something that it was technically not appropriate to share. And then I'll say, oh, whoops, did that just come out loud?
So
it's like, just lighten up, okay.
One of my old clients said to me, why have you not got oops tattooed on your body? And I was like, what? And he said, oops. Giorgio, who's like, but you say that literally every time you do something, you go oops, and he goes, why have you not got oops tattooed on your body? And I'm like, oh, I hadn't really thought about that, but that's maybe. Constantly it comes out and you're like, oops. But address the elephant that would be another tip. Address the elephant in the room as quick as you can. So that could be a point B of that, or A or B. You can't take it back. And so the next section is address the elephant in the room as quick as you can.
Own it. Just own it. Okay. I said this thing, and whoops, that came out loud. Like moving on.
I'm just thinking of the times I keep going, I think I said oops many times yesterday. Oops.
Oopsie.
Own it.
Owning it is, I think, is such an important part, right? Because sometimes we know when it's appropriate.
Number 3.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I'm just saying that's definitely number 3. It's not even an A, B on that one. Own it.
Own it. Own it. Definitely. That's on because sometimes when we don't own it, it's because we're comparing ourselves to other people, or we're getting into the shame, blame, I suck, what an idiot, that was stupid kind of dialogue, and that's not okay.
Stupid me, silly me.
To just say, okay, oops.
So
another oops, right?
Oops. But the shame and blame, as I know, and Moira, and I'm pretty sure every person on this who's listening to this podcast will know, is that shame and blame will do some crazy as physical symptoms in you if your mind's not running a marathon. It's going to give you, you know, you're not going to want to drink water, you're not going to want to replenish, you're not going to go and do the normal things that light you up. You're just going to sit in that funk, hide under the blanket, go into that, slip into that, you know, if we were to label it depression, slip into that mode. Oh, I can't believe I did that again. Did it, silly me.
That's you up near a 10 as well, by the way, on that scale.
Yeah, totally. And I had an incident this morning and I was telling Moira about it. Now, I didn't shame and blame myself. I literally just went, I drew that right in because I said this and this. I could see that whole thing, but I didn't. But when I think about that, that would have put me into a real shame and blame and stupid me. And why do I do this? I'm never going to go into that situation again. I'm not going to, you know, but it was like, oh yeah, I walked right into that. I opened my mouth, and then the Green Mile came back at me. You know, do you remember the Green Mile when he opens his mouth?
Yeah.
That's me sometimes.
Oh, the bees.
That's
like bees or something. Oh, yeah.
Actually, that's me.
That's a really good analogy of that. Blah. Here it is.
Yeah. What's going on in your head? And out it comes, and then you're like, oh, whoops. Yeah, there's the daisy. Did you not want to know that? You asked the question.
Yeah.
So tip 3 was definitely own it. Yeah.
Yes. I've lost track of counting already because I've got other tips here.
well, that calms your farm. You know, that calms that farm and takes away that shame blame. Because shame and blame, like you can sit in shame and blame. Don't do it for any more than 5 minutes, please.
But look at where's the gift. You can you can go, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. But what's the gift?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's actually that's another tip then. Okay. Straight to Moira's like, but I've got lots more. Hang on. So we're going to add that. What's the gift? What's the blessing? What's the gratitude of this? What's the experience? Not necessarily lesson, because I think when you say lesson, oh, there's a lesson in here. It makes you feel
I don't like that one so much.
Oh, it's good.
Like, it's a gift. It's a gift. Yeah. Learning kind of gives us this thing of, oh, I didn't know better and I'm stupid and I needed to.
Stupid me. It's going to jump back to that shame and blame again. So what's the gift? What's the blessing? What's the gratitude of this? And ensuring that you do that. What's the gift to me, but also what's the gift to others when this happens? Because it's not just resolving your stuff, but if you don't look at the other person, you're still going to be in guilt that you've hurt them, but you're okay yourself. So what's the blessing, you know, gratitude to others and yourself?
So that's actually a tip that I would put in here at that point, because I like that. It's very true. It's what's the gift to yourself and to others. But the other part about assessing when to share and when not to is to reflect for just a split second sometimes. Just reflect. Is what I'm about to say or to share, is it going to be well received? Or is it going to trigger or upset or point fingers or accuse or... Okay,
so that's my problem. I don't have time to reflect. I don't give it that 2 seconds of reflection. I go, oh, you asked, here it comes. Here it comes. It's coming down.
Train's on time.
Rattle.
And so I think for me that like it's just to take a deep breath and then go.
Well, that's where we talk about, are they a worthy opponent?
Yeah,
you know, just knowing that if you're going to say that, is even if you speak from the heart and you say things and they get offended, it's like, oh, why did I even tell this person this? Because I'm never going to see this person again. You know, it's just a waste of my energy and theirs and emotion. Let's just look at what's best for me. But yeah, I love that reflect. That's probably one of my downsides. But actually, somebody did say to me, do you ever hold your tongue at Christmas? Someone said, do you ever hold your tongue? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, I don't know, I've never seen you. I'm like, oh. And literally over the next 3 days there was some conversation, not confrontation. There's some conversation, and he would look at me, and I'd just give him that wink, like, I'm holding my tongue right now. And he was like, "Oh, you do hold your tongue? Oh, you do? Oh, wow, I'm pretty impressed. I wouldn't have thought." You're like, yeah. But because he had only seen me speak up and share, share my opinion,
and not get into the when not to.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
But I think this is so leading on from that reflection thing is to just, because sharing and choosing not to, it's about really not censoring yourself, right? Because how we were talking about it being like, well, I was brought up to tell the truth. So I'm not going to, if somebody says, do you like this? And I don't, I'm not going to pretend that I do, because I think, oh, they're going to get hurt. Or do you know what I mean? It's like, but at the same time, I could say it in a way that I just own that this is my taste and I don't like that, but not go into anything else about, oh, I would prefer it to be like this, or any kind of other story to it. So it's about really owning your own authenticity.
I love that, because that's an example. I spoke to someone recently, just in the last few days, and they said, "Oh, so and so's put a post up on social media. Have you seen it?" I was like, "No." Nah. When to share and when not to. Nah. And they said, "Oh, this is what it is." And I looked at it and I went, "Oh God, I don't agree with that." For me, I was like, "Oh no, that doesn't agree with me." And they said, "But because I work with them, do I need to like that post?" And I'm like, "No."
Gosh, no.
And then they were like, "Oh yeah, I think I do." And I'm like, "No, you don't." And so it got into this, which is exactly this whole thing, actually. Yeah. And I got a little bit heated. I'm like, "Why do you want to put your name to that? That's not you." And if you agree to that, people are going to think that and this person was like, "Yeah, but do they actually check how many people like and comment and all this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, if you've commented on the last 50 things they've done and they haven't done this, they may notice. But for you, do you want to put your name to, like,
something
for me,
you actually technically don't agree with, right?"
Yeah, if you definitely. And it was actually quite a great discussion, and we cleared some motion that this person didn't acknowledge the post and anything, but it was a real, but I need to, because they're in my circle. I coach them and I help them with things and all this, and I do this. It's like, no, just go back and say to them, when you put that post up, what was your intention? Actually dig that into that and see why they did that. And I just copied it from someone else. I thought it was really cute because this is what I was going through. Okay, right. Well, that's fine. They didn't think about it, or they just did it loosely, whatever. But definitely, I coach people, and you would, Moira, and some I follow and some I don't. But if I don't resonate with that post, I'm not going to comment. If I resonate, no. And if I resonate with that post, then I'm going to comment or do a like, or in fact, if I'm on Facebook, I often do that care one. So it goes like, love, care. I often do care because it's different. I used to love everything, but so many people do.
I love having that one there, because I use that one a fair bit too.
That would be my most used my most used one on Facebook. But if it doesn't resonate with me,
then you're not going to do
anything. Yeah, and the other thing is, I'm not always on social media scrolling through people anyway. So if I don't like your post, don't take it personally. Just means Deborah hasn't been on here. Like that's So I guess that's the other tip, is actually their reaction, or their receiving. Their reaction is not yours to take on.
No, it's none of your concern, really.
Yeah.
Right? But
their emotion.
Yeah. Because, and that's beautifully interwoven with that being authentic, because I'm never gonna. So for me, and most people, if you know me on Facebook, I'm all about the hearts. I'll do hearts. That's number one reaction, and number two is the care. If I do a like, it's because I like, okay,
it's like, okay, I can see it, but it doesn't
get that.
Doesn't,
and if it doesn't jive with me or light me up or connect with me, I don't do any.
So people are now going to go, oh, I need to go back and see what Deborah and Moira is actually. Have they
I
liked
know,
it? Have
I
they
know, I
cared
know.
it? Have they loved it? Yeah, good luck to you. Go for
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Have fun, because I'm not actually out there that much.
Yeah, same. Don't hang out for that one post that I like on that day because I just happen to be on
Yeah.
on here. But their emotion is not yours to take on. I think I know when we speak from the heart and it's received from the heart, but then their head takes over. So they receive it from the heart and then their head goes, oh, but what if this? Or they talk to someone else and it's, but she did this and he did this and da-da-da. And so then other people, so then you're jumping into your head, not that heart space. Yeah. So I guess that's speak from the heart, but you can't handle other people's, you can't take on other people's stuff. Like that's their stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're coaching them, because I hear myself say that, I go, yeah, but Deborah, you do. But coaching them is very different. And it's a different setting, and I don't take on their stuff personally. I work through my quotation marks, their sentence, their story, their whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So I'm still not taking on their stuff, but I'm taking on their stuff to mm-hmm. dissolve it, resolve it,
release it,
disintegrate it. Yeah, disintegrate it, burn it, kiss it, and send it on its way. Fly it on to the neighbor,
blow it apart.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so their emotion is not yours to take on.
Yes,
but that's theirs. That's theirs.
Yeah. So in this conversation of when to share and when not to, that's actually really funny when we're talking about social media posts. If you don't like something, you don't share it. You don't need to share it or pass it on, and you don't need to get caught
well,
up
that's
in
a referral too.
Yes, it is. But it's also, I was thinking about the analogy of it is it's like you were talking about the glitter. Like as soon as you press like, that's a piece of glitter on you. Right?
Totally.
So it's like, Kate, you want to make sure that all the things that you've just glitter bombed yourself with, that you're happy to walk around with it.
And not someone else's brown coal. I want diamonds, not coal.
Yeah, or somebody else's opinion that you kind of go, oh, I better do a like on that. Well, you've just embraced some of that energy on you. Right? So it's like, whether it is to share somebody's post or share a like or share a comment, either we're talking social media, but this is in real life too. Social media is not knowing really.
I just remembered something I did yesterday. And someone put up a post.
Is this another oops?
Yeah. I put up a post. Oh yeah, actually. Oh, I put up yeah, I can hear it tick, 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 tick. Somebody put up a post saying sharing Bob Proctor quotes is not going to get you ahead in business. And I was like, okay, I do. I share and I'm okay and it gets engagement and I actually like this thing. So I put a comment back and I said, oh, I do this. In fact, I shared 3 this morning and not just his. Did not even think. And then this morning I went on.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
And I see, I don't know, there's 30 comments, and then there's mine. Every single one of the others have all had a comment from the person, but mine.
But yours.
And I get a care back. And I was like, oh, that's odd. Did not even think until now. And then I'm like, I've just shared my thought. I've pretty much just said, what you said's a crock of shite. I do it and it's working for me. I didn't even think about it. And just literally then, because I'm like, oh, no, I do that. What's the problem? Yeah, no, I didn't realize they were trying to tout for business and all the rest of it and all their little people. That's, whoops. I just literally now I'm like, that's exactly what I did yesterday. Because I thought when I got on this morning, I went, well, that's odd. They didn't comment. They comment. Right,
right.
No. Then I went, let me just check this. And I went, oh. But I
That's
brushed
funny.
it away. I just went, oh, that's their stuff, whatever. But as I'm sitting here now talking to you, I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. I did. And that's that keyboard warrior thing, I guess. When to share and when not to.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's also a wee bit like read the room.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know there was like 29 other people who are followers and love that person and are all going to comment like this, and this person's commented back, but mine, well, it clearly shows I've affected this person. I'm just going to call it out there, because if they haven't commented on mine, if I was to look at that from a human behavior, I'd go, okay, well, you've commented on every other person but mine. Oops, yeah. When to share and when not to. Read the room, Deborah. Did you do that? I was like, oh yeah, I do that. What's the problem? Duh. Yeah, okay.
But at the same time, I know you well enough to know that your confidence level is okay. Somebody asked a question and I said no. That's it. It's okay.
Yeah. I did, yeah. If I'd read the room and seen the people comment, which I hadn't, if I'd bothered to read the room and read the comments, yeah, you're so right. Yeah, I don't do that.
Right. And so in that instance, you wouldn't necessarily have then amended your post to sort of go, oh yeah, you're right. Thanks for the advice. You would have
I would have scrolled past.
Next.
Yeah. And I can't take it back. So if I look at our awareness, read the room, you can't take it back, own it, learning, reflect, all those things, not censoring myself. Yeah. Well, I did that yesterday, okay, people. I did all those things, and I just spoke. When to share and when not to. So their emotion is not yours to take on. And all they're doing is they're showing that they disagree with my post.
Yeah. and that's okay. Totally okay. Because the thing too in this regard about this when to share and when not to. I can think of times where I've shared things publicly or small group or bigger group. And it's so funny because I've had the feedback so many times like, oh, I can't believe that you were willing to share that. Like that's so and because I'm at a place, and this is what I'm trying to say about the being authentic, is that I'm comfortable enough in my skin, I'm willing to let you see who I am. And so if it means that I'm going to tell you a story of suffering or hardship or something that I came through, then of course I'm going to share. And it's not a case of bravery, it's because, well, I guess
it feels comfortable at that time.
Yes. And I feel I'm being authentic. And there's obviously something.
Is it going to be of value to that person?
Exactly. And that's what I was trying to allude to. Is this it? And those are the great times to choose. Yes, this is a good environment, a good setting, a good place, because it's going to be received. There's something of value to illustrate with this sharing, right?
Yeah, and I back that what you just said 100%, because there's times that I won't share things on a Facebook Live, or I won't share things to certain people, or I won't. But and the reason I don't share some things and say, oh look, this and this, is I may not be able to manage if I'm doing it in a Facebook Live, I would like to manage their emotion.
Yeah.
I would like to make sure it was a safe space for them, but sometimes in a Facebook Live or that situation, I'm not going to share that stuff. But in a private group, if I'm mentoring a group of people and we share, we have an open discussion. And so it allows people to think and expand, and it is value to them, but it's really enhancing their world to go, oh, I hadn't thought about that, and I hadn't thought about that. But in a stand-up room of 200 people, I'm not going to share some of my life stories because I can't, and it's not my job to manage their emotion, but if I'm sharing it, I would like to make sure that I'm not going to trigger people with some things.
That's exactly it, because I do that on my Facebook Lives, is I'm aware I could be triggering, even inadvertently, sharing something. And so I quite often throughout my sessions will say, if I've triggered anything, or you need more support or guidance or help, to message me, to get in touch with me, because there are ways to help manage and get through it. And because I don't want somebody to go away from something and think, oh my God, I have all this stuff and all this chaos and crazy making things going on in my head, right? So it is to be aware
the trigger warning.
Of the impact. Yeah, trigger warning.
Trigger warning. Yeah, but and that is with that authenticity is do that. And well, I mean, I can tell you that the story I was talking about earlier is that I just talked about the other day. As I was young, and I must have been 18 or 19, and I was working in a department store, and I'm sure it was only 2 weeks in, and we had a performance review, and I was like, oh, I couldn't understand being that young. Why do you have performance reviews? Just let me get on, is my thought process, because I know everything. Just let me get on. And the office manager said to me, what job can you see yourself doing in 12 months' time? Now, I know people are sitting here listening to this podcast going to go, oh, we know what she said. We know what she said. We know. And there was definitely a trick. And I was like, yours. And she was like, pardon? I was like, I know, yeah. And she was like, pardon? And I was like, yours. But I would change it this way. I'd do this. And then I just proceeded to give feedback on how to change it. So I didn't just say yours, and the lady got shot by the shotgun, from Deborah's words. But then I proceeded to machine gun her and tell her all the things I would change in my 2 weeks I'd been there. And it really affected her. It affected her quite a lot. I got pulled into the office, the big cheese's office, and told in no certain terms you're allowed to do this. And I was like, yeah, but I was told to be truthful. Right. Like my mum, who was a security officer, I'm like, she said, tell the truth. You asked me, tell the truth. Your reaction's not my stuff to handle. But it was literally, maybe it would have been wiser for her to go, or me to go, here's a trigger warning. I'm going to tell you, because you asked, how you handle it. But she was foul on me. She was foul and tried to give me many, many, many warnings. And she knows who she is if she ever finds me and listens to that. But that was the thing. You asked the question, and I generally just thought, you asked me. I could have worded it differently. I could have 100% worded it differently.
Of course. But don't you think that this comes into what we were talking about at the beginning there about education? Because you now in that situation wouldn't do that.
I would not tell her I'm angling for your job, because I literally gave her a blueprint of all the things I'd change as well. Now, whether she wants to change them or not, but I pretty much said that, okay, here's the list of things I would change in my 2 weeks of being there. So
because
it was like a bang and then a bang and then a bang.
Smack upside one side of your head and then the other. But sometimes people, I was just feeling into that sometimes people would take that as you're wrong.
Right? I was wrong. I was
no,
wrong
not you, but her. Like that, you were saying you're wrong. You're screwing it up. You're doing it. I'm going to come in and fix all the different things. You see?
Yeah. Well, I was giving her. She asked.
Still, you told her,
and I'm still sitting in that. And yes, I'm sitting in a self-righteous place right now, because I can see her face. And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, she wants to know more."
So I'll tell her more.
So the green mile kept going, and I'd change this and I'd do this and I'd do this. Little did I know, point number one, read the room. Little did I know she was sitting there going, how do I get her out? How do I get her out? How can I get this little
smoke coming out of her ears, imploding?
And it got to a point where she actually just stood up, banged the table and left. And I was like, I can't understand what's going on. What did I miss?
Wrong with her?
Still. Yeah. Whoops. Yes, there's it. But you're right, and we watch that self-righteousness.
Well, that's the thing about
ego versus
when to share and when not to, is to have that wee pause and perhaps read, is that person available to hear something that could be construed as being critical or educational? But in that you might be thinking that you're being educational, but
I thought I was helping.
Yeah, that's what I
But
mean.
she was still sitting there. She was still listening. Oh, she still wants more. Okay, I'll just keep talking.
But like I said, as the volcano was getting ready to erupt.
The shotgun hit her, and then the machine gun came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that reminded me of another story. Oh my God, I've got so many of these. I was just thinking about that. Yeah. Okay. Clearly, I'm gonna write these bullet points down and keep them by the computer.
when to share and when not to. Well,
yeah.
Excellent tips. And I think the thread through it is to really bring in mindfulness and reading the room.
Yeah.
But also to be being very aware. But let's run through and do.
But
you
don't want to. Oh yes, but you don't want to break your soul. I talk about the social. You don't want to break your soul.
Being inauthentic.
No.
Right? No.
To please the other person or anything. And yes, I could have hushed, but in reality, if I'm going to hush, I'm still going to think about these things. Well, why has she not changed this? And why could she not do this? And it's going to come to a confused state. Like, why would you not just change this? This is a really logical thing.
Right. Right.
Okay.
But it's about having an awareness of where you're sitting, right? Because technically you were in there for 2 weeks. And so maybe there was pieces that you hadn't become aware of yet.
Yeah. I do know when I went to another job, in the first week I gave a whole list of things to my I was executive assistant to the CEO of a health board, and I gave him a whole list in the first weeks of things I'd want to change. And I'd already changed one thing, and he'd had 2 people resign in that first week.
Oh God.
And didn't read the room. I was like, oh, I can do this. And he said, you are allowed 1 change a month. That is all, Deborah, 1 change a month, because people have to adapt to it. You come in, you go, and you're, as I say, we're sitting in a cyclone. You're that tornado, that cyclone that comes in and rips in and pulls people apart. So he said 1 change a month. And that is something that's really stuck with me when coming into different environments. That's
a good point.
Is that 1 change a month. Now, I definitely do more than that, but it's but it is just making you aware.
I thrive on change. I thrive on change, but I'm very aware that people around me don't. Because so I like that 1 change a month means you allow everybody else to recalibrate. You may have you might have it all planned out for the whole year.
Well, I did. I literally, he said you have to plan. And but it also allowed them to trust me, to go, this works.
Yeah.
She's changed this works.
Yeah.
Now we're
That's what I mean about recalibrating.
Yeah.
So they start to welcome it. Excellent tips. So, dear listeners, we encourage you, if you weren't writing them down, we're going to run through our tips again and get the Coles Notes version of the tips. So the first one that we started with was awareness. To read the room, to just be aware, who are the people that you're about to share or not. So just having that awareness, and being aware also that once you've said it, you can't take it back.
You can't take it back. It's done. It's done. It's done. And I love that, because the next one is similar, is that whole is own it.
Yes.
Ownership. Address the elephant in the room.
Yeah. And
be aware of that shame and blame that comes into your internal talk.
But
own it. It's done. Like, you can't take it back. Read the room. Can't take it back. Own it.
Yeah.
Like, now we can deal with it.
Now we can deal with it. And to that point, I also said that perhaps you could use some humor, which I've done before too. Is like, whoops, did I just say that out loud?
Yeah, that's Deborah constantly laughing.
Oops.
Humor gets me through, because to me it softens the situation, and then you can also add that humor in, and then go, is it too soon? Which also puts another level of humor on. Oh, is it too soon to say that? Oh, okay, all right, we'll save that for a few days' time.
Yeah, well, and it'll give you some space.
It just puts that little that spin on. Is it too soon?
No, I like that. I think it's important part too. But that's all about owning it, and just you got
own your shit. Ownership.
Ownership.
So the next one is a learning experience, we say, oh, this is a so we, instead of saying, oh, this is a lesson, we're saying this is a learning. And when you discover that learning, we say to ourselves, what's this gift in here that's come to me? What's that blessing? What's that gratitude? What's the because that stifles down any of that emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, it just calms everything down, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and when you do this, look at the blessing, the gift, the learning experience, the gratitude to you, but also look at it to others.
Yeah.
Because when you go, oh, this works for me, but I still have shame and guilt, and oh, I'm still guilty because, you know, my office manager has this issue with me when I was younger, you know. So it's wise for me to also look at the gift to me, but look at the gift to her. Because, and you know what it is. People go, I don't know what's the blessing to that person. I guess you do. Get real. What happened because of that? What happened? Yeah. I mean, my lady got incredible support from the store manager and the big CEO. She got incredible support. So she got way more support than me. I got told, pull your head in. I was like, but why? These are the things. It's like, yes, I know the things you want to change, and I think they're really good, but no, Deborah. But you said, yeah, exactly. So look at the gift to others and not just yourself as well.
Yep, excellent point.
Yeah.
The next one I have is to just pause, be reflective a little bit, just to check in with yourself, like you're saying about you do know what the gift is to other people, but you also know intuitively, is this person ready or able or open to receive what I'm about to share? And if they're not,
just because they ask the question doesn't mean
exactly doesn't mean that you can come out
your truth.
So it's just to check in, you know. That can be like, okay, I'll just say a few words and not go into the big huge encyclopedia version of it.
Yeah, I've just circled.
Reflect. Is it going to be
that
received?
On my notes, because I think that's probably a great one for me. That'll be a little post-it note on my reflect. Pause and reflect.
Pause and reflect. Yes.
Pause and reflect. The next one we've got is not censoring myself. I've written down, and that's owning it, definitely, but be authentic enough that you share it, but not hold it in. So just don't hold it in, because you're going to have the physical symptoms. If you go, oh, I can't say anything, I don't want to say anything. What do you think that turmoil, even if it is just in your head and you're not expressing it, you're also expressing it, but you're expressing internally, which has a different vibrational energy than expressing it verbally. Yeah. So don't hold it in, don't smother it down, you know, just don't censor yourself on what to say and what not to say.
Based on other expectations outside of yourself in particular,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I like that. The next one I wrote down was their reaction is not my concern. And that's a really important one, but it is when you're coming from that authentic place. Like, you're not going to come from a big bombastic bully power way, but if you're coming from your heart and being authentically you, sharing, then if somebody reacts and, oh, that's a dreadful thing to say, or it's actually nothing
you can't
to do with
say
you.
that. Yeah.
Well,
that was mean.
So
it's out.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't swallow that one. Yeah, I love that. And that then entangles to the next one. They all really entangle into the flow,
yes,
don't they?
They're layer upon layer, aren't they?
Because this one I've written down, authentic. Is this of value to them? And I'll often, my partner and I'll often have a conversation. I'll go to say something and I'll go, this is not of value to them. I'd rather, if I had 50 words left to say in this world, would I say this? No.
Right.
So this is not going to be of value to them.
Yeah.
So it's just that be authentic, but be authentic.
Be authentic. And then I like that one too, because if it's not of value, then it's actually technically not of value to you either. And so then you can just lovingly release it. Okay. Don't need to share this. So that's a good way of not just being aware. of it, right?
Well, that's that reflect. Go back to that reflect again.
Yeah. The last one that I have is choosing your environment and your timing. So that's kind of interwoven with that. Is this of value? And knowing that when you are sharing, that you're coming from a place of, that's when I was talking about being open and vulnerable. And I've had people say, oh my God, I can't believe you were that open and that willing to share that story. It's because I'm coming from a place of I'm being of service. I'm being coming from compassion, coming from my heart, and not getting into anything else that's not appropriate, right?
And that's when you mentioned that trigger warning too.
Yes.
Being, and they, when we talk about those things, that's that awareness. Read the room. You can't take it back. Looking at all the things we've done, and with that there, I wrote down is the ego versus humble.
Yes,
because
that's a good way of doing that.
Are you? Is this your ego driving this, or are you humble and sharing this with this?
Yeah, from your heart. Right.
Yeah, and you mentioned the word mindfulness. I think that's a beautiful when to share and when not to.
Yeah.
Mindfulness. There. Number one and only tip is mindfulness.
Yeah.
That's it. And what
mindfully aware of and be like just all I love every one of these tips that we just did, because like you say, they wove together so beautifully into this tapestry of there are times when it is totally appropriate to share everything, the kitchen sink and all. And then there's other times when it's like, that person's really vulnerable, or they're wounded, or they've got some kind of trigger thing going on, so that therefore it's best not to say anything at the moment, or maybe just say,
Yeah. We all love the sound of our own voice. Well, sometimes we do. But you don't have to engage in every conversation.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's a good, that's I like that. Yeah. So, dear listeners, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear, what number were you at the beginning of our conversation? Did it shift as we hit the halfway point? And where are you now? Because this is our check-in, to just sit in with that. We'd also love to hear, were there any tips that you feel like we've missed? Or there's tips that you like to rely upon to kind of guide you into when to share and when not to. Let us know in our Facebook group, or reach out directly to us, to either one of us or both of us. But all that being said, we were both at a 2.
Oh, that's right. Here comes the number. Okay.
So, dear Deb, where are you now?
I'm going to say a 0.5, because I'm going to work on that reflect more today. And as I go through some paperwork that's outstanding, I'm just going to reflect on how to handle things, and just pause, take a moment, not get on the full-on freight train, but just, get on the rattly old carriage and just move along.
Bubble along.
So yes, I'm going to say a 0.5, just because this has definitely made me more aware, putting these points down.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. For me, I'm at a 0. I actually really enjoyed this conversation. And I love how, like I said, it just felt like this beautiful tapestry of all the different points and ideas of just really getting clear on it, because it's always going to evolve and change as we evolve and change, and the environment changes, and the things that we have to share and want to share and decide not to. It just keeps shifting and changing as we shift and change, right?
Totally. Well, I mean, it also depends on your sleep and what's going on around you. Precisely. And outside forces, and
Precisely.
when they've peed me off last time, so I'm going to let them know what I think. It's like ego versus humble. Yeah, let me give it to you. Yeah,
but that's the whole point of checking in with your numbers too. That's why we like doing that. Perfect. So, dear listeners, we would love to hear from you. Let us know. And if you liked this, if you loved this, if you got some juicy bits and got some gifts from this, we would love for you to take it to the next level. Your next step is to share it. Share. So this is something that you would choose to share. It's not a when not to.
This is definitely a shareable experience.
Share it to everyone you know. Share it to people that you admire. Share it to people that you would love to inspire to be more authentically aligned with who they truly are, and have a deliciously motivated mindset, because that's what we're all about here.
Absolutely. I've loved today. Thank you, Moira, and thank you to the internet, and thank you, listeners.
Thank you, internet. This has been great, and thank you, listeners. Thank you, dear Deb. This has been an awesome conversation. We will be back here with you next week. Thanks.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.